Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we will be discussing why you are dead and don't know it. This has been a problem for a very long time. It concerns the way you write your name and the way you represent yourself in terms of your legal standing, because our governments are completely 100% corporate. There's absolutely nothing at all that is land-based and that is based on common law anymore. It is all corporate and has been hijacked for the past 2,000 years at this point. So let's begin. I want everyone to take out their driver's license or passport or any bank statement and notice how the text is written. And when I mean the text, I mean your name. Everyone in the first grade or kindergarten, whenever you learn how to write your name, learns how to write their name, capital letter, small letter, capital letter, small letter. And that constitutes a name. It has a grammatical standing, that name, specifically here. Now, if we look at the way our names are written out on our driver's licenses or passports, you'll notice that it's in all uppercase text with no hyphens in the middle. It's using the grammatical method of Latin and with the structure of English. Now, in Latin, if I were to write out my name, it would be Edward Zhivkov Radev with the hyphen. This connects the word. Now let's look at some examples of Latin-based writing. What it has is an interpunct. This is how you write Latin. You have an interpunct in between the words, if they're all uppercase text, and that connects the word, whatever that might be, into a sentence. It strings the sentence. Let's take a look at this. What that is called is an interpunct, or a middle dot, which, in other words, it was used in ancient Latin script to connect the words, and you can see it. It is all over Italy. And there's another form called scripto continua, which does not have any spacing or any type of commas or periods or anything of that sort. It's a strict text, no writing style at all, no marks or spaces. Now, an interesting fact about Latin is that it comes from the word lateo. Not saying anything at all here, but it's kind of interesting to see, and it means to hide, to lurk. Pretty interesting to look at that. Now, Dog Latin. This is from Black's Law Dictionary. It's a law dictionary, which basically means that it writes out words, and it tells you what the actual meaning of these words are in terms of a legal standing. Okay, so let's look at the meaning of Dog Latin. The Latin of illiterate persons. Let's read that again. The Latin of illiterate persons. A person, in this case, in a legal case, in a legal standing, would mean a corporation, something that is not alive. Latin words put together on the English grammatical system, that constitutes Dog Latin. Now, how do we know what the difference between Dog Latin and normal Latin is? What makes it illiterate? What makes this type of Latin different from grammatically correct Latin? Well, the only way we can figure that one out is by looking at the Chicago Styles Manual. The Chicago Styles Manual is a manual used to basically write out the rules of how to write the English language correctly, or write in the English language correctly so it can be read. Now, if we look at what glosses are, and this is in the foreign language section, by the way, of the Chicago Styles Manual. In the physical book, it's on page 666. What is being written out here? Glosses and ASL. Well, glosses, let's get rid of that. Glosses are the written language transcription of a sign. ASL, by the way, is American Sign Language. It is the written language transcription of a sign. It's called a gloss. Glosses are words from the spoken language written in small capital letters. Woman, cat, school. Alternatively, regular capital letters may be used. When two or more written words are used to gloss a single sign, the glosses are separated by hyphens, which is what I was explaining before, or an interpunct. The translation is enclosed in double quotation marks. The sign for car drove by is written as vehicle drive by. The sign, but you can read this because of the hyphen. It is readable in a sense. One obvious limitation of the use of glosses from the spoken written language, in this case being English or Bulgarian, to represent signs is that there is no one-to-one correspondence between the words and the signs in any two languages. So what does this mean? Let's break it down. Okay, so if you have signs that are not grammatically correct in the way they are written here. So let's just say we're using Latin as the basis for why they've written all of our documents in all uppercase text. Well, if the basis is Latin, then the words used, words and letters, would have to have hyphens in order to constitute an actual name, in order to be read as a name. But what is actually happening is that is not being done, and it's breaking the grammatical system. It's written as an English text, but with Latin letters, all uppercase lettering. This creates what's called as dog Latin. The way you would read the name would be Edward, period, Zhivkov, period, Rodiv, period. These are three different names. This is not one name. In English, it's written correctly. Now, there's a whole nother story about the last name that we'll get into later, but for now, that needs to be understood. Is that this is dog Latin because it does not have the hyphenated symbol in between, or an interpunct in this case. They could write it like this and say it's scripto continua, but no one's doing that, clearly. Now, let's keep going. What is a gloss? And there's a specific definition in Black's Law Dictionary from 1910 that states glossa viprina esque cordit viscera textus. It is a poisonous gloss, which corrupts the essence of a text. I'll read that again. It is a poisonous gloss which corrupts the essence of the text. Is everyone understanding what's going on? I hope you're catching on to what they have done. This is the poisonous gloss that is being mentioned, and it corrupts the essence of this text, throwing you into a world of delusion. If you cannot read a name because it needs to be readable, it needs to be, let's open the Chicago Styles Manual again, from the spoken language. It needs to be from the spoken language or the spoken written language to represent signs. You cannot have a name. Let's go back. Okay. So what the legal language is actually stating, and all of these legal words that are written down in all uppercase hieroglyphic text, because these are hieroglyphs, they are signs. They are literal signs. Think of an H&M logo or McDonald's, the way it's written. That's the same exact thing. These are called word marks. They're not text. You cannot read them as text. They're based on the presumption of a text. Because of the grammatical standing, they do not function as a text. Now, goat, in a legal sense, means this: a contrivance or structure for draining water out of the land and into the sea. Now, this grammatical deception that has been made and done and accepted by most of society for the past 2,000 years is a way to make you accept maritime law. It is making you accept this grammatical deception as being you, when in fact it's not you at all. There's nothing that is you. The plastic card which makes up your license is not you. It is not you. All of the legal standings and binding laws that go into that card or document, whatever that might be, anything that is connected to your legal name, all uppercase lettering name, is not you. It is not connected to you in any single way. Another meaning of goat: sewers. It is a sewer or a gutter. This means exactly what you think it might mean. I'll show you now. This is what it means. This is exactly what it means. It means a goat. It means the underworld. It means you're entering into the underworld when you accept this corporate name and enter into this legal craziness that has no grammatical standing, because you cannot read a name that cannot be read due to the grammatical structure, and you cannot say that is you. What happens when you accept this name is you become an ens legis, which translates to a creature of the law, an artificial being as contrasted with a natural person. Now, a natural person would, in this case, would mean a patrician. If the plebs are the ens legis, the patricians, they hold the proper name. You're still on this ship in maritime jurisdiction, taken from the land into the sea with the name, but you have control over your equity, because what happens when you do not know your name is they take your equity. They meaning the bank, the Vatican. We'll get into that later, but that is what's happening. Okay. What happens is you enter into the presumption of law. It means exactly that. It means you presume your name to be something. You presume all of the laws and the legal standings that go with that name, whatever that might be, although it's not a name, as being law. It's a contract. This is when you enter into contract law. It has nothing to do with common law, based on the Magna Carta. We'll keep going. What is literis obligato? It is a legal obligation. You have a legal obligation to hold a ledger. That's what it's saying. Hold a ledger. Which was... where would it be? Okay, well, I can't see it here. Ledger, right there. To hold a ledger, which means you have your living side, which you were born into. You're born the living man or woman, which is a nomen. A nomen means a name or Roman power. That is nomen. Nomen. And you are substituted and tricked into accepting a name that is called a cognomen. Now, literis obligato is your obligatio, is your legal obligation to know the transactions that happened between these two faces, between the living name, the one that you can read, which is the one that holds the mineral energy wealth, the actual equity to the trust that has been created, and the other account, the debtor account, the one that is dead. This one, your legal name. You have a legal obligation to do this. That's what this is saying. What is a ledger? A book of accounts in which a trader enters the names of all persons with whom he has dealings with. There are two parallel columns in each account, and they're talking about this account. They're talking about your legal account and your patrician account, or your Christian name, the one where the equity comes from. Your equity. You come from the land, you are alive, you have money that's supposed to come with that. And what I mean by money, I'm not talking about paper currency, I am talking about physical wealth. Gold, silver, platinum, and all kinds of other types of precious metals, or whatever type of mineral energy wealth the land that you come from might have or possess. And this is what this is stating. It's a ledger. Ledgers are usually in a 2-to-1 ratio. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'll leave it at that for the ledger. A sales journal to which credits and debts from sales are entered. Sales ledger. Now, oops, there we go. Okay, so if we look at the size for a ledger in terms of paper sizes, you'll notice that it comes in this section right here, in the iOS section. Where was it? There we go. So, illegal is 216,300 in centimeters. Huh. I thought I had it open. Well, it's supposed to be an iOS 216 paper size, which allows for this type of ledger system to happen. Okay, so a ledger stone, by the way, is the exact same size. It is a 2-to-1 ratio. I think this is where I was looking for the ratios, by the way. Where are the ratios? I guess I closed that page, unfortunately. Huh. Yeah. Okay. Well, regardless, this is a 2-to-1 ratio. It is the exact same size that you get all of your bills in, everything else that you might be dealing with banks with. They come in this size. What this is a ledger stone. They put this on top when you're dead of your grave. Because you're dead in this system. Every time you open a mail coming from a bank or some type of banking system, or I don't know, you have to pay your bills, you open the letter, you open the ledger, and you are breaking this seal. And that is a sin. So you are always in a sin when you are in this legal system, in the underworld. By the way, let's look at the number right here. 1666. Well, that's not a surprise at all, is it? If we look at the Cestui Act, they talk about this in totality, about this ledger system and how they've tricked you into going into this craziness. iOS 216. It's a 2-to-1 ratio, and these are the paper sizes that they use for ledgers and any type of legal letter. Same size as the overhead slab. Now, what is Unidroit? Unidroit is a very special case because Unidroit is the unification of private law. Now, because you are dead in this legal system, these are the beautiful guys and gals that are writing out all of the laws that you have to follow. And they're not laws, they're contracts. Now, if we look at where this is taking place, it's in Villa Aldobrandini in Rome. Now, Villa Aldobrandini is an interesting case because the Aldobrandini family, let's look at them. Now the Aldobrandini reside in Rome with close ties to the Vatican. Oh, what a surprise. They're a noble family. Very interesting. I'm sure, they don't do anything shady at all. And one of the family members, Prince Aldobrandini, was a leading member of the soi distant black nobility, which has it's part of the black Venetian nobility. That's why they made Venice. They needed some kind of center that is on the water in order to. It's basically a ship. That's what Venice is. And they were married into the Rothschild family. No surprise there at all. Okay, so let's go back. Now, Bulgaria is a member state of UNIDROIT. UNIDROIT writes out all of the contract laws. It's the unification of private law, but they have contract laws. It's basically maritime law. What their conventions are talking about. And we are part of this. Bulgaria, which is interesting because if we look, the Holy See is also part of the UNIDROIT Treaty. The UNIDROIT organization, by the way. Now, why are these guys in there? Well, we should ask ourselves, why is the Holy See, and there's a reason they call it the Holy See, because it is the sea, it is the ship, it is the main ship. Let's take this, copy it, and look at what this is saying. Holy See. Now let's break it down. Headquarters. Holy headquarters. Well, they're not very holy, but they are the headquarters. The Vatican is the headquarters of the planet. I would like to go down and specifically talk about the United States in this case because they are very important. The United States came into UNIDROIT. They were accepted into UNIDROIT 1964, March 13th. Not a date that is coincidental. Let's put it that way. If we all remember when they closed this down for the thing that happened around 2 years ago, and everyone has to get this thing in their arm right now. Yeah, they closed this down on the 13th. The whole planet, specifically the US. But another interesting thing about this is that John F. Kennedy died 1 month before this happened. Why do you think he somehow was eliminated? He did not want to have the US enter and sell all of their securities to the Vatican. This is why this person, this specific individual, was eliminated. We'll keep going. A very important topic that we have to get into is all of the Bulgarian ministries and all of the ministries on the planet, any type of parliament, Congress, Senate, ministry, anything that is government related, is registered as a corporation in Dun & Bradstreet. Dun & Bradstreet is a register for pretty much all companies on the planet, but it's very interesting because this is proof that you are being governed by corporations, and that the only way for these corporations to govern you is through deceit. They have to trick you into becoming dead, becoming a corporation. They have to incorporate you. It comes from the word incorporeal. Incorporate comes from the word incorporeal. Incorporeal means without matter. Without matter. You are without matter when you become incorporated. You are not living. That's what this is all about. All of our ministries are part of this. They are corporations, and the only way a corporation can govern anyone is if they trick you into becoming a corporation yourself, into accepting a false legal name, because corporations do not have any standing over the living man. Let's keep going. All of the ministries are here and how much money they've made, which is ridiculous. This is the grants that they get. The European Commission, it's in French, of course. Ursula, right there. And that's the address. They're also a corporation, of course. All of the governments are. Ministry of Foreign Trade and Development Corporation in Washington, D.C. And the European Commission which is located at the United Nations. Oh, look at that. What a surprise. No surprise at all. Now, let's keep going. The three centers of control on this planet are basically with the Vatican, the City of London, and Washington, D.C., which all three of those are actually in total control of the Vatican. They completely, or the Vatican completely controls the other two entities, which are city-states. Why is the City of London so important? Well, Dun & Bradstreet is registered in the City of London. We'll take a look at that in a bit. But Londinium, also known as London, Rome, it was established on the current site of the City of London. Now, if anyone does not know this, the City of London is a city-state. It is a corporation, LTD. It is literally a corporation, and the Bank of England is also inside the City of London. Lloyd's of London is part of this, which holds all of the securities of every country on the planet. That is why this exists. And it is under Roman law still. I don't care what they tell you. They could have told you it's abandoned during the 5th century. We both know that this was not abandoned during the 5th century. It is still functioning. Okay, let's keep going. Let's look at the registration of the City of London and why this is important. The City of London registered itself in the City of London. I don't know how a company can register itself in itself, but I guess it's possible when you own the planet. Let's take a look. I think I opened it around here. Yes, there we go. So this was the address. This is where it's located. Now let's zoom out a little bit. You have the Tower of London right there. The Tower of London and the City of London. Oops. Guess it didn't open. So this is the City of London Police. Huh. Unfortunate. Oh, there we go. Okay. So if that's the Tower of London, this is where they are registered. They are in the boundary of the City of London. They have registered themselves to govern themselves. It's ridiculous what they've done. Now, Dun & Bradstreet, also located in England. This is not the City of London, but it is located in England, and England does have jurisdiction over the City of London. We can look that up in a bit. We can actually look it up now. Why not? City of London, and you'll see. Let's scroll down. Okay, sovereign country and state, England. United Kingdom, status. That's their flag. They still have some kind of authority over them, even though the Queen, when she was still alive, she needed to ask permission in order to go into the City of London, which is kind of weird. But it's not really weird when you start actually understanding what's going on. Okay, let's keep going. Now, because Dun & Bradstreet was registered in the City of London, this is the Dun & Bradstreet I'm looking for. Dun & Bradstreet Limited. October 28th, 1919. This would make any company that is registered in Dun & Bradstreet, which means all of our ministries and council of ministers, whatever, all of them, they are all property of the City of London, of England, of the Queen. That is who owns them. It is the City of London, which is Rome, as we saw before. Right here. It is London. The City of London. It is the Vatican that controls everything. This is the European Union. I'm still doing research on this. They've done some very shady shit with this stuff. Pardon my French. Okay, let's keep going. Okay. We'll go back here for 1 second to explain what a word mark is. So if we look at down here, on their registration, everything here on this website, this is a company register, is under Crown copyright, which means that the Queen of England owns it. That's basically what it's saying. Now, Crown copyright also means it's copyrighted, which means that the word marks that are used on the hieroglyphic text that you're reading here, it is a hieroglyphic text that you're accepting, these are patented. They're copyrighted. If you're a citizen of a country, which in reality is actually a corporation, and it's registered in Dun & Bradstreet, and which is registered in the city of, or in England, but has ties to the city of London. So is the Securities and Exchange Commission, by the way, of the United States. You are copyrighted, or the word marks that make up your name that you accept as your legal standing name is copyrighted. It's a word mark. A word mark is basically something that has no grammatical structure, but this is a word mark. Microsoft, you read this, it does not have a grammatical structure, but it conveys some kind of idea. You can understand that it says Microsoft. Think of it as hieroglyphs, the same way Egyptian hieroglyphs work. Let's look up Egyptian hieroglyphics. Oops, I spelled that wrong. This is what it is. It's the exact same thing. You think these are letters, they're not letters, they're actually symbols, and you are accepting symbols that have been crown copyrighted. They are word marks. That is what your name is. It has no grammatical structure, it is a word mark, and you are accepting something that does not have any way of being read. It can only be interpreted by the law. That's why you interpret law. It is a presumption. You are presuming this to be you. They are presuming you to be that legal name and all of the stuff that goes along with it. Let's go back to a word mark. Okay. Now, word marks, they are copyrighted. See, the United States and the European Union, a word mark may be registered, making it a protected intellectual property. Well, you're protected intellectual property of the Queen, which is now the King, but doesn't matter, of the royal family. Or Rothschild. Okay. United States Patent and Trademark Office. So, you can patent these symbols, and that's exactly what they've done. They're word marks. They've patented the word marks. So that means that you're patented. Your legal name is patented. That is what's going on. Combined word mark. They've patented all of you. They basically own your soul. The Vatican. Well, maybe they don't own your soul, but they do own your body because you've given it to them. Okay, Bulgaria Land & Co. is the registration of Bulgaria, the land, the securities of the land, and the Securities and Exchange Commission. This registration right here is very strange because if we look at it and we look at the location of this registration, we find two people that are part of this location, which is in the middle of Missouri. I don't know why it's in the middle of, Mississippi. David M. Burkle and Lance L. Line. Okay, let's do some research on these two fellas. So if we take the location that is Bulgaria Land & Co., where it's registered, and we look it up, Southern Bone and Joint Specialists. What does that have to do with the securities of Bulgaria? Well, I'll tell you what. Bulgaria is one of the richest lands on the planet. There is more gold in this land than you can possibly imagine. It is literally the richest country on the planet, and it has been completely broken. They've stolen everything. Now, the reason why they've done this is because they need to hide what they're doing. Now, Lance L. Line, this amazing man with a lot of kahunas to sign off on this, he's a doctor. And they've registered an entire, all of these securities of the land to this guy, David M. Burkle. I don't even know where this guy exists. I've done research on him, can't find him. Southern Bone and Joint Specialists are located in Dun & Bradstreet as well, which connects them to the Vatican, of course. You can find this guy. This is pretty much all they have on him. He's Chief Executive Officer for the Southern Surgery Center. Don't know what that has to do with Bulgarian stuff, but if we look at the registration date of when this happened. 2005, May 24th and May 18th. And we look at who was in charge during this time. You'll find that our beautiful king, apparent king, was in charge during this time. His mandate, or his term ended on the 17th of August, 2005. He sold us out. He's the one that did this. But it's not a surprise at all, because the Saxe-Coburg-Gotha family is actually the Windsor family, and they changed their name in World War II. I hope this is starting to make a lot more sense for you guys as to why this man at all was prime minister of a corporation. Chamber of Commerce. This is Dr. Lance L. Line. If anyone wants to go and contact him, you're going to have to go to Mississippi in order to do that. There is one more registration of the same company, split into two, in Delaware. The Delaware Secretary of State is the governing agency for this corporation, or for this company that was registered, and the Corporation Trust Company. Let's look up what the Corporation Trust Company is. The Corporation Trust Center. Located on the same address, of course. Now, it is known as the Delaware Loophole. Oh, I wonder why. Notable companies represented by CT at this location include Google, American Airlines, Apple, General Motors, the Coca-Cola Company, Walmart, Yum Brands, Verizon, Take-Two Interactive, and several more. Both former President of the United States Donald Trump and his opponent in the 2016 United States presidential election, Hillary Clinton, have registered companies at this center. Is this starting to make a lot more sense to you why this was done? I hope it is. They're located apparently in the US, but now they have a branch in the Netherlands and in New Jersey. It's a mess. They're hiding everything. That's what's going on. Okay. Now, I hope everyone understands what we went through and what I've been explaining. Your name is this. This is what you are accepting with your legal name. It is not a grammatical name. You cannot read this. You can interpret the signs, but you cannot read the text. This is copyrighted text. Well, it's not text, actually. It's a word mark. It's a sign, which makes you go into sin. That's why the G is silent. It is sin. And every time you sign something with your pen on the X, let's put it sign on the X. Let's explain this. When you sign an X, you sign on the X, you are killing yourself. That is what's going on. You are killing the inner Christ in you. You are killing this name, which is actually this name. It's your Christian name. You are killing that. When you sign, when you place your X on the paper, that is why you have to learn to read the signs. That's why Christ said, learn to read the signs. That is what this is talking about. We will continue talking about this, but I'm going to end it at that. There's a lot more stuff that needs to be said, but we can end it with that, yes. With the fact that your name is actually a gloss, it's a sign. It is a glance. It is a poisonous gloss that corrupts the essence of a text. That is what you are accepting as your name, and that is how all of these countries are registered as corporations. You cannot read something that cannot be read. You can only presume it to be whatever you think it might be. And in this case, they can do whatever they want, including injections, taxes, whatever, anything. Okay, everyone. Thank you for listening. I hope this was helpful. We'll keep going with the information. There's a lot more stuff that needs to be said. This was just a tiny little fraction of everything that needs to be explained. I suggest everyone start doing their own research on this. I can't find everything. I know a lot of stuff, but there's a lot more stuff that needs to be found out. And the only way that you can get out of this system is by not accepting their contracts. If Unidroit is the highest standing, it's the highest institution that is connected to the Vatican, legally speaking, they have a section that specifically talks about when a contract is made. Offer and acceptance. Conduct sufficient to show agreement. So if two parties are agreeing, with two parties meaning you and a police officer, you both are corporations, they're private corporations, you're a private corporation. That's what this is. That's what private law is talking about here. You have the right to deny, to revoke. Right here. Down 216. Nope. 216. Mode of acceptance, and there was one more. I can't find it now, unfortunately. Withdrawal, late acceptance. There we go. Rejection of offer. You have the right to accept or reject the offer, to reject the contract that is being placed upon that legal name. If you accept the legal name, if you give over your driver's license, if you give over your passports, if you open the ledgers that contain the mail from these dead corporations that are asking you to pay their fiat currency with the money that they stole from you, you are going into a contract with them. That is how this works. There is a manner of formation in the contract. You have to be able to read the signs and understand that you are under contract. These are not God-given laws. These are corporate laws. They are the laws of the sea. They have no jurisdiction over land. They have no jurisdiction over the living man or woman. And this has been done since birth. Everyone should look up their birth certificates and see how they're written. This is when this fraud started. Okay, we're going to leave it at that for now. There's many more videos that need to be made on this topic, but we'll keep it more loose and kind of free-flowing because there's many topics that need to be gone through and they kind of flow into each other. But thank you for your time, guys. Hope you enjoyed it.